Commander Tae-Woo Park stood at the observation deck of Earth's International Space Station. His eyes were fixed on the strange objects that had appeared near Mars 3 days ago. The objects moved in ways that defied Earth's physics. They were alien ships. "Commander, we're receiving a transmission," said Officer Ji-won Kim. Her voice was calm, but her hands shook slightly. The main screen flickered. A being appeared. It had gray skin and 4 eyes. The universal translator processed its speech. "People of Earth, we are the Arcturian Dominion. Your planet has been marked for integration into our empire. We have studied your species and classified you as Class C, physically inferior and technologically primitive. Resistance is not advised." Tae-Woo's jaw tightened. "Send this message to Earth Command immediately." Within hours, the United Nations Security Council gathered in emergency session. Representatives from all nations watched the alien message with grim faces. "They think we're weak," said General Min-ji Cho. "They expect us to surrender without a fight." Defense Minister Dae-hyun Ryu nodded. "Their scans have likely shown them our military capabilities, but they don't understand human determination." The debate lasted 18 hours. Some nations wanted immediate surrender. Others demanded attack. By morning, a unified response was prepared. Tae-Woo delivered Earth's message. "Arcturian Dominion, we welcome peaceful contact but will defend our sovereignty. We invite diplomatic discussion." The aliens did not respond. 3 days later, an Arcturian ship positioned itself over the Pacific Ocean. A beam of light shot down. The remote Johnston Atoll military base vanished in a flash of light. 37 people died instantly. "A demonstration of power," President Sun-Woo Lee told the emergency broadcast. "They expect us to surrender now. They are wrong." Within days, old enemies became allies. Nations that had fought for centuries now shared military secrets. China and America combined space forces. Russia and Europe pooled resources. Africa and South America offered bases and resources. At the newly formed Global Defense Headquarters in Seoul, Tae-Woo met with scientists and military leaders from around the world. "The Arcturians have superior technology," said Dr. Hyasu Kang. "But our first scans show their ships emit unusual radiation. This could be a weakness." Tae-Woo studied the data. "They're watching us from orbit, expecting panic and chaos. But they don't understand humans. When threatened, we don't just fight, we innovate." The first Arcturian ground forces landed near Beijing 5 days later. They expected an easy victory. They found prepared resistance. Young engineer Jin-Woo Lee had modified civilian drones to disrupt Arcturian communications. The aliens' advanced weapons suddenly failed. Chinese and Korean special forces attacked with simple but effective weapons. The Arcturians retreated, confused by this unexpected resistance. Similar scenes played out across the globe. In Brazil, farmers ambushed alien scouts. In Egypt, archaeologists used their knowledge of ancient defensive positions to trap alien patrols. In Canada, indigenous hunters tracked and eliminated alien reconnaissance teams. At Arcturian Command, Supreme Leader Krax was irritated. "How are these primitives resisting? Their weapons are centuries behind ours." "They're using the environment against us," his science officer replied. "And they adapt quickly. They've already begun modifying their weapons based on our technology." "Impossible. Their brains are smaller than ours. Their bodies are weak. Their technology is primitive. Yet they fight on, Supreme Leader." On Earth, in a secret underground laboratory, Tae-Woo watched as Dr. Hyasu tested a new device built from captured alien technology. "It works," she said with tired but triumphant eyes. "Their shields can't stop this signal. It disrupts their neural networks." Tae-Woo smiled for the first time in weeks. "Mass produce it immediately. Distribute the plans globally." In space, an Arcturian captain watched Earth with growing concern. "Supreme Leader, the humans are communicating and coordinating globally. They're sharing technology and strategies." "Impossible. Class C species always fracture under pressure. These ones don't, sir. They're uniting." The first major human victory came 1 month after first contact. An Arcturian destroyer approached New York. It expected minimal resistance. Instead, it faced thousands of modified transmitters broadcasting the neural disruptor signal. The massive ship lost power and crashed into the Atlantic Ocean. Humans immediately swarmed the wreckage, collecting technology and capturing survivors. In Seoul, President Sun Woo addressed the world. "Today we proved that humanity will not go quietly." The Arcturians thought us weak because our bodies aren't as strong and our ships aren't as advanced. But they failed to measure our courage, our creativity, and our will to survive. This is just the beginning. On his flagship, Supreme Leader, Krax received the news of the destroyer's loss with shock. "Prepare the full invasion fleet," he ordered. "These humans are more dangerous than we thought." Little did he know, the real war was just beginning. Sergeant Hana Choi crawled through thick mud, her face painted with dark green and brown stripes. Behind her, 20 soldiers moved like shadows through the dense Amazon rainforest. Above them, the massive Arcturian ship blocked the sun, creating an artificial night. "Team 2 in position," whispered Corporal Do Yun Kang through her earpiece. Hana checked her weapon. It wasn't much to look at, a standard rifle modified with parts from a downed alien scout ship. The scientists called it a pulse disruptor. The soldiers called it a zapper. It wasn't pretty, but it worked. "Team 3 ready," came another voice. 3 months had passed since the Arcturians began their full invasion. They controlled the skies completely. Their massive ships hovered over major cities. They had expected a quick surrender. Instead, they found themselves fighting in every kind of terrain Earth offered. Deserts, mountains, forests, and oceans. "Remember," Hana told her team, "aim for the joint sections of their armor, wait for my signal." The Arcturian land cruiser moved slowly through the forest, crushing trees like twigs. It was searching for the human resistance base hidden somewhere in this region. The aliens didn't know they were being watched. Hana gave the signal. From 3 directions. Small drones rose from the forest floor. These weren't military drones, they were modified toys and camera drones, now carrying small but powerful explosives made from captured alien technology. The Arcturians spotted the drones too. Late, the tiny machines slipped into ventilation shafts and weak points in the cruiser's armor. Explosions rocked the massive vehicle. It stopped moving but didn't fall. "Phase 2, Hana commanded. Her team launched grappling hooks onto the damaged cruiser. Within minutes, they climbed the metal giant and entered through the blast holes. Inside, the soldiers moved quickly, using the ship's own corridors against the confused aliens. While the Arcturians searched for intruders, Hana and 2 engineers reached the engine room. They planted a special device created by Professor Minho, Yoon, a virus that would spread through the ship's systems and send its data back to human headquarters. "Download complete," whispered engineer Sunho Park. "Time to leave." As quickly as they had entered, the humans disappeared back into the forest. Behind them, the cruiser's lights flickered as the virus took control. "Mission accomplished," Hana reported through her secure comm link. "Data extraction successful. Moving to extraction point." Across the globe, similar missions were happening. In the frozen wastes of Siberia, a team led by Captain Jun Kim used the extreme cold to their advantage. The Arcturians' technology worked poorly in temperatures below 30 degrees. In the Australian outback, Aboriginal guides helped soldiers navigate terrain that confused alien sensors. In his underground command center near Seoul, General Taewoo Park received Hana's report with satisfaction. On the large map before him, dots of light showed resistance operations worldwide. "The Arcturians control the skies," he told his officers, "but we control the ground. They can't be everywhere at once." An aide rushed in with urgent news. "Sir, we've decoded their communications. The virus worked." On the main screen, alien text transformed into Korean. General Park read it with growing excitement. "They're calling for reinforcements," he said. "They admit they're taking unexpected losses. Their high command doesn't understand why their superior technology isn't winning." The room filled with cautious cheers. It wasn't victory, but it was hope. In orbit, on the Arcturian command ship, War Leader Draz faced an angry transmission from Supreme Leader Krax. "Explain these failures," Krax demanded. "How can primitive beings resist our might?" Draz struggled to explain. They don't fight as we expected, Supreme Leader. They avoid direct confrontation. They strike and disappear. They use our technology against us. They adapt faster than our tactical computers can predict. Unacceptable. Use orbital. Bombardment. Destroy their cities. We've tried, but they've dispersed their population. They have underground facilities we can't detect. And when we destroy one area, they strike us from another. After the transmission ended, Draz studied the planet below. In his long military career, he had conquered 17 worlds. None had resisted like this. His second-in-command approached cautiously. War Leader, the humans have destroyed another supply ship. They're targeting our fuel reserves. If this continues... Draz silenced him with a gesture. Increase drone patrols. Focus our scans on forest regions and mountain ranges. Find their hidden bases. On Earth, Sergeant Hana Choi's team reached their hidden base inside an abandoned mine. As technicians examined the stolen data, she cleaned her weapon and prepared for the next mission. The aliens still think they'll win because they have better ships and weapons, she told her tired soldiers. But we have something they don't understand. What's that, Sergeant? Asked a young recruit. Hana smiled grimly. We're fighting for our home, and humans have always been very, very good at surviving. Professor Minho Yoon hadn't slept properly in days. His eyes were red and his hands shook slightly as he drank his 5th cup of coffee. Around him, the underground laboratory hummed with activity. Scientists from 30 countries worked side by side, their former rivalries forgotten in the face of alien invasion. Professor, we've done it, shouted Dr. Suna Park as she burst into his office holding what looked like a small metal disc. Her normally tidy hair was messy, but her eyes shone with excitement. Minho took the device carefully. 6 months into the war with the Arcturians, and humanity was beginning to turn the tide through sheer innovation. The shield modulator works? He asked, examining the disc. Yes. We tested it on the captured fighter. It completely disrupts their shield frequency. This was the breakthrough they had been waiting for. Until now, human weapons could barely dent Arcturian shields. This small device could change everything. Start production immediately, Minho said. Send the designs to all resistance manufacturing centers. In another section of the vast underground complex beneath the ruins of Seoul National University, Medical Director Junho Baek faced a different challenge. 3 days ago, the Arcturians had released a biological agent in several major cities. Thousands were sick. The pathogen targets human lung tissue, he explained to his international team. But it's engineered for our biology specifically. Dr. Yoona Kim, a brilliant virologist who had once developed vaccines for African epidemics, pointed to her screen. Look at this. The virus is similar to Earth pathogens but with key differences. They studied us before attacking. Can we develop a cure? Asked a tired doctor from Brazil. Yoona smiled. We already have. The Arcturians didn't account for human genetic diversity. Some people are naturally resistant. We've isolated the factor and created this. She held up a vial of clear liquid. Begin mass production, Junho ordered, and send the formula to all medical centers globally. The biological attack had been meant to break human resistance. Instead, it had been defeated in just 3 days. Across the world in hidden facilities, humans were reverse engineering every piece of alien technology they could capture. What had once seemed like magic was now becoming understood science. The command center, General Taewoo Park, received the latest reports with growing optimism. On the large screens, he could see that Arcturian advances had stopped in most regions. In some areas, humans were actually pushing them back. Our new jammers are working, reported Communications Officer Jiwon Kim. The Arcturians can't coordinate their attacks effectively anymore. The most surprising development came from psychological warfare. The humans had captured enough Arcturian communications to understand their rigid hierarchy. They now broadcast false orders, created confusion, and exploited the aliens' inability to think independently. Sir, said Intelligence Officer Hyun-Woo Kang, we've received a transmission from an Arcturian ship. It's on a secure frequency. A trap? Asked Taewoo. No, sir. I think it's a defector. The message came from Sub-Commander Velix of the Arcturian Science Division. He had been studying humans and had come to believe the invasion was wrong. More importantly, he offered critical information about the Arcturian home system. In a secure meeting room, Minho and other key scientists met with the alien defector. Felix was smaller than most Arcturians, with lighter gray skin and curious eyes. "Your species was classified incorrectly," Felix explained through a translator device. "The Empire believed humans were Class C, physically weaker, technologically primitive, suitable for colonization or eradication. And now?" asked Minho. "Now many believe you should have been Class A, dangerous, unpredictable, best avoided. No species has ever adapted so quickly to Arcturian technology. No species has ever unified so completely against us." Felix shared information about Arcturian weaknesses. Their ships required a rare fuel. Their soldiers couldn't function well in high humidity. Their communications had vulnerabilities that humans hadn't yet discovered. Most importantly, he provided coordinates for key supply bases in the solar system. The Arcturians had established refueling stations on several moons of Jupiter and Saturn. As Minho prepared to leave the meeting, Dr. Suna stopped him. "We've just received word. The shield modulators are working perfectly. Singapore resistance. Forces have downed 3 Arcturian cruisers with minimal casualties." Minho allowed himself a small smile. "Tell the offensive teams to prepare. It's time to take the fight to space." That night, as scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to prepare Earth's first counter-offensive, the Arcturian High Command received disturbing reports. Human resistance was growing stronger, not weaker. Humans were using Arcturian technology with unexpected skill. Worst of all, they were innovating at a pace that defied all predictions. "How can they learn so quickly?" demanded Supreme Leader Krax. No one had a good answer. What the Arcturians failed to understand was simple. Humans had always been at their most creative when fighting for survival. Admiral Junho Bayek stood on the bridge of the HSS Resilience, Earth's first starship built with reverse-engineered Arcturian technology. Through the large view screen, he watched as 50 similar vessels moved into formation. Each ship was a hybrid of human ingenuity and alien tech, looking nothing like traditional Arcturian design. "All ships report ready, Admiral," said Lieutenant Yuri Han, his tactical officer. Her fingers moved quickly over the control panel that glowed with soft blue light. Junho nodded. "Send the signal. Operation Thunderbolt begins now." 1 year into the war, humanity was taking a giant leap. After months of defensive fighting on Earth, they were now bringing the battle to space. The fleet accelerated toward the Jovian system, where the Arcturians had established their main fuel processing stations on Jupiter's moons. Intelligence from Velex, the Arcturian defector, had revealed this critical weakness. "Approaching Europa, Admiral," reported navigator Minseo Choi. "Arcturian stations detected. They haven't noticed us yet." The human fleet had used a new stealth system developed by Dr. Hyasu Kang. It bent light around the ships, making them nearly invisible until they were ready to attack. "Deploy as planned," Junho ordered. "Groups Alpha and Beta, target the fuel stations. Group Delta, prepare to intercept enemy ships." The human fleet split into smaller groups. Each followed battle plans that combined military traditions from across Earth. Korean naval tactics merged with Zulu flanking maneuvers. Apache ambush strategies combined with ancient Chinese war philosophy. The result was something no Arcturian battle computer could predict. On the main Arcturian station, alarm suddenly blared. Commander Graz looked up in shock as human ships appeared seemingly from nowhere. "Impossible!" he shouted. "How did they get this far? How did they build starships?" Before his officers could respond, the first wave of human attacks hit. Unlike Arcturian weapons that relied on raw power, human weapons targeted specific weaknesses with surgical precision. The battle spread across the Jovian system. Arcturian reinforcements rushed in but found themselves confused by human tactics. When they expected frontal assaults, humans attacked from behind. When they strengthened rear defenses, humans didn't attack at all but instead focused on different targets. On the Resilience, Admiral Junho received constant updates. Fuel Station Alpha destroyed. Station Beta heavily damaged. Arcturian response ships increasing. a massive Arcturian battleship, appeared 3 times the size of the largest human vessel. It unleashed a barrage of energy weapons. "Evasive pattern, Dolphin," Junho commanded calmly. The Resilience didn't try to outgun the larger ship. Instead, it moved in unpredictable patterns, diving and spinning in ways Arcturian ships couldn't match. 3 smaller human ships joined in, each attacking from different angles. "Their shields are adapting," warned Yuri. "Our weapons are losing effectiveness." Junho smiled slightly. "Activate the phase shifters." This was humanity's newest innovation. While Arcturian shields could adapt to one attack type, the phase shifters constantly changed the frequency of human weapons. It was like fighting an enemy who changed tactics every second. The mighty Arcturian battleship suddenly found its shields failing. Precise human strikes disabled its engines and weapons. Rather than destroying it completely, Junho ordered boarding. "Parties, remember we take prisoners," he told the assault teams. "Show them that humans understand mercy." Inside the Arcturian ship, human soldiers found confused and frightened crew members. Many surrendered immediately, shocked to see that the primitives had mastered space combat. By the end of the battle, Earth forces had destroyed 3 major fuel processing stations and captured 5 Arcturian vessels. Most importantly, they had shown that humans could fight in space just as effectively as on the ground. As the fleet regrouped, Junho received a transmission from Earth Command. General Taewoo Park's face appeared on screen. "Excellent work, Admiral," he said. "The Arcturians are recalling ships from Earth orbit to defend their outer bases. Their invasion force is weakening." "What are our next orders, General?" "You've opened the door. Now we push through it. We've detected their main command base on Titan. That's your next target." News of the space victory spread across Earth, boosting morale in every resistance pocket. In towns and cities, in mountains and forests, humans fought with renewed hope. In the Arcturian High Command, panic was spreading. Supreme Leader Krax faced unhappy reports from his generals. "These humans," one officer said nervously, "they don't fight like any species we've encountered. They adapt too quickly. They're unpredictable. They're stealing our technology and improving it," added another. "Their ships move in ways ours can't." Krax slammed his 4-fingered hand on the table. "I want all invasion forces to withdraw and focus on defending our core systems. These humans must not reach our homeworld." As Arcturian ships began retreating from Earth orbit, humans looked up at the sky and, for the first time in a year, dared to believe they might win this war. On the Resilience, Admiral Junho gathered his officers. "The enemy is retreating, but this isn't over. Now we show them who they really picked a fight with." Ambassador Yoonji Kwan stood at the entrance of the great Arcturian council chamber. The massive doors were carved from a strange blue-green metal that seemed to shift colors as she approached. For nearly 2 years, humanity had fought the Arcturians across Earth and then through the solar system. Now standing before the heart of their empire, she felt a strange calm. "You may enter, human representative," announced the tall Arcturian guard. His 4 eyes studied her with what she thought might be curiosity. Yoonji straightened her simple, gray uniform. Unlike the military leaders who had led the counteroffensive, she wore no medals or insignia of rank. The human delegation had agreed that their representative should appear humble but dignified. Inside the chamber, 7 Arcturian high counselors sat on elevated platforms. Their gray skin had a bluish tint under the strange lighting. Supreme Leader Krax, his face scarred from a human attack months earlier, sat at the center. "So," he said, his translator converting his clicks and whistles into Korean, "the humans send a diplomat instead of a warrior. Are you here to beg for mercy?" Yoonji approached the center of the room, standing on the circular platform designated for speakers. She looked directly at each council member before speaking. "I come neither to beg nor to threaten," she said clearly. "I come to offer what you never gave us, a chance for peace." A murmur went through the council. "You dare speak of peace?" hissed War Leader Draz. "After destroying our fuel stations? After turning our own technology against us?" "Yes," Yoonji replied simply. "We dare speak of peace after defending ourselves from extinction. You came to our world expecting submission. You found resistance. You expected weakness but discovered strength. She activated a small device in her hand. A holographic display appeared, showing images of Earth, its oceans, forests, deserts, and cities. We are not here to demand your surrender. We are not here to occupy your worlds or take your resources. We fought only because we had to survive. Supreme Leader Krax leaned forward. What are your terms, human? From her pocket, Yunji pulled out a small data crystal. Our terms are simple: recognition of Earth as a sovereign world, a non-aggression pact between our peoples, open trade routes for those who wish to engage in commerce, cultural exchange programs for those who wish to learn. She placed the crystal on a pedestal in the center of the room. This is not a list of demands. This is an invitation to build something better than war. The youngest council member, Science Director Velix, spoke up. These terms are surprisingly reasonable. Your military leaders advised this approach. Yunji smiled slightly. Our military leaders agreed that victory through destruction would only bring another war in the future. Lasting peace comes through understanding, not domination. Supreme Leader. Krax took the data crystal and studied it. His expression was unreadable to human eyes. We classified your species as Class C. Physically inferior, technologically primitive, he said slowly. This was clearly an error in judgment. It was, Yunji agreed. But errors can be corrected. New beginnings can be made. After a long silence, Krax nodded. We will accept these terms as a starting point for negotiations. As the formal proceedings began, Yunji thought about how the Arcturians had never understood the true nature of humanity. They had seen our technological limitations and physical weaknesses. What they had missed was our greatest strength, not our weapons or our courage in battle, but our capacity for compassion even toward those who had tried to destroy us. In the years that followed, Earth would emerge as a respected voice in galactic affairs. Other species that had suffered under Arcturian rule would look to humans as mediators and allies. The peace that began that day would grow into something greater than either humans or Arcturians could have imagined alone. And it all began because, in the end, the Arcturians discovered that what they had mistaken for weakness was humanity's greatest strength.